But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, almost the direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roger, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. Actually, let me start up Kick. And we're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we continue. Not just the summer of saucers, the Trickster's summer. Now, if you were paying attention on Sunday night, we traced an entire thread. Not just a thread, it was the beginning of one of the most mind-bending and jarring synchronicities I've ever seen, and it continues to develop. Now, the bizarre part about all this, like I said, if you're jumping into episode 2 here of this series. So if you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Cool, hang with it. Go back and listen to the first one. This will all make sense because look, the synchronicities are popping, absolutely popping, and there's some things that you cannot predict. Okay. However, if you were paying any amount of attention, we're in the live prediction markets or whatever. It's crazy. Meaning this, that the last episode was called Foolish Fire, right? We were talking about the core basis of it was not just all the synchronicities and all the wild and weird stuff, but beyond that, it was about that foolish fire, that the actual orbs of old, the will-o'-the-wisp. And wouldn't you know it? So if you guys have been watching the news today, they had, who was it? David Grusch that was on actually talking about this today. And he, wouldn't you know it, he exactly, specifically, directly said what we were talking about on Sunday night. Like I said, there's no way I could know that. It just seems like these synchronicities are so swirling and so just in your face that there's no way around it. Speaking of which, I'm just going to play this clip. Now, this is the one. So the entire thing here is it's this press conference here. Let's see, it's muted. I could just play this or whatever, but it's, these people talking. This is from News Nation. Links are in the description if you want to check it out. But there's a part kind of in the end of this where David Grusch does a statement and then he comes up and starts answering questions. Okay. And the first question that's asked of him is something you can't really hear the question, but it's something to the effect of, well, do we have any aliens, or, do we know how many, or something like that? Well, yeah. Okay. So this is how he answered that question. And this is a verbatim. I didn't edit this any other way other than clipping the answer to the question that was asked. But check this out. This is exactly what the man said. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about synchronicities syncing. We're talking about things before they happen in this space. And like I said, we knew David Grusch was going to be on the steps this morning. We knew this whole thing was going to be there. Leslie Keene, James Fox, all the players you would expect, Tim Burchett, Paulina Luna, all of them, right? Okay. But we didn't know David Grusch was going to say this.
I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal bipedal type life to, what I would consider like sentient plasmoid life. But there are several that the U.S. government is aware of.
Yeah. Okay. So the quote, you heard what he said. You heard what he said. Sentient plasmoid life. Okay. Which is our will-o'-the-wisp, which is my primordial nature spirit, which is the lights people have seen in the sky for thousands of years. All right. Now I'm extrapolating on what he said. Did you guys hear that clip well enough? Let me know if that didn't come through properly, but it probably didn't come through as well on Discord, but the stream should have been nice and loud. Okay. But here's the thing, right? I was a little shocked to hear him say this, not because this is something new. I've heard this before, and shout out to Jordan Crowder on X said this. Trevor James Constable told us all about sentient plasmoid life 70 years ago. He called them sky creatures and told us exactly how to photograph them. Ufology is a treadmill and a black hole. And here's some of this, right? So Bravo number 3, strange plasmatic fauna. We've talked about this in the past as well, because of course we pay attention on what the hell's going on and don't have a 9-second memory. It's the weirdest thing in new media that everything is, because everything gets washed out in like the 24-hour news cycle. It's impossible to really kind of pick together any kind of coherent narrative unless you have a memory. But they expect us to have the memories of goldfish with our TikTok attention spans. And so this type of stuff, like I said, for us that have been paying attention and have been talking about this for quite some time, this doesn't come as a surprise. But what does come as a surprise to me is the level of synchronicity that's happening as part of this, okay? And it is, I encourage you to read the write-up today. It's not as good. I apologize. Everything was breaking at the last second, so we're starting late. I apologize for that. What can you do? Literally, when everything's busted, everything's just busted. But it basically lays out what happened. So I'm going to just read this because it's probably the best way to do this, other than me rambling on. But we're talking, again, the synchronicities popping. This, not just the summer of saucers, but the Trickster summer. And I'm calling this alive in the dark because, for obvious reasons, when we're talking sentient plasma, that's exactly what that means. All right, here we go. Straight to the thing. Read the write-up and info. I encourage you. It's very good. The Troubled Minds newsletter, troubledminds.org. Click the newsletter on top. It'll take you straight there. Okay. So at approximately 1 p.m. Eastern on Monday, June 9th, that's today, David Grusch stood on the steps of the United States Capitol alongside elected officials, investigative journalist Leslie Keene, and filmmaker James Fox. The demands were specific and public. Name, specific classification, passage of the UAP Disclosure Act, whistleblower protections for individuals currently unable to speak, and someone asked him about the nature of what the government has encountered. He said he did not have the full compendium. Then he said this, and this is a direct transcript at timestamp 24 minutes and 30 seconds. I actually delved that out myself right there. 24 minutes, 30 seconds right here is where he gets asked the question. So if you want to go follow up on me and fact check, I know exactly where this video comes from. They take questions. He comes up to the podium. 24 minutes, 38 seconds is when this question hits. Okay. Just so you know. All right. He said 24 minutes, 38 seconds. Quote, it's a continuum of corporeal bipedal type life to what I would consider sentient plasma, talking about sort of a range, a spectrum. And he continued, but there are several that the U.S. government is aware of. There's your quote. That's exactly what this man said right there on the screen in the Substack, time-stamped at 24 minutes, 38 seconds. Okay. If you want, like I said, if you want to go follow up on me, I am not making this crap up. Okay. Now, the bizarre part, okay, so several, a continuum, sentient plasma. Now, if you go back to what we were just talking about on Sunday, the entire scope of this was not just disclosure and this trickster summer, but this foolish fire. The will-o'-the-wisp was really at the backbone of what we were talking about. And wouldn't you know it, on Monday morning, David Grusch comes up and says, sentient plasmoids. Like, what? Okay. His language is precise and worth honoring before anything else is said about it. He said, quote, what I would consider, end quote. That is his interpretive framework for material he has been briefed on, not an official government designation. So he's not reading from a document. He's offering a credentialed former intelligence officer's personal characterization of a spectrum of non-human intelligences the U.S. government is aware of. That distinction matters, and responsible engagement with the material requires holding it, okay? And you know me, look, I like to talk about all manner of wild things, but I don't like to make wild claims, okay? It's very different when you're like, well, I can tell you exactly this, and then you tell a long, fanciful tale about things you can't prove. It's different than if you say, well, let's consider the possibilities and talk about it. By the way, we are taking your calls if you want to be part of the conversation tonight. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link. That's the point of this, is to talk to each other. And what do we trust about this level of disclosure? And what do you know about the wild synchronicities that are popping as part of this? Because I'm telling you what, we had no way of knowing he was going to say something like this. And it wasn't even part of his prepared statements. It was a question that was asked to him. It really, at the end, 24 minutes, 38 seconds. Go check it yourself. Fact check me on that. Links are in the description down below. But sentient plasma itself is exactly like we were describing on Sunday night. It is the will-o'-the-wisp. It is, as I said, my primordial nature spirit, which is one of my favorite theories with regard to what this big P phenomenon actually is. Okay. All right. So timing's a little off today. So we're going to kind of start bottom of the hour, top of the hour. We'll do it the reverse order and then by 5 minutes or so anyway, to kind of stay on a radio clock. So it makes sense when it's done. Yeah, there you go. That's how you do things. Okay. So yeah. What do you know about this? And what about the wild, you guys are watching the sports ball. Remember we did a lot of time on the sports ball on Sunday night. Well, Wemby, the alien, went to New York, and guess who was there, by the way? The Disclosure president, everybody's favorite orange man, or least favorite orange man, as the case may be. And not only that, he got booed, but also Wemby and the San Antonio Trickster Spurs stood up in the big lights and got a clutch win. So now the series is tied, or not tied, they're down 2-1. Okay, anyway, if you're watching the sports ball. The other sports ball I have on right now, the Golden Knights. It started crazy. They went down 2-0 almost immediately. They got one back, then they were down 3-1, and then screamed back to tie it at 3-3, which is where it stands in the third period. Anyway, that ends the sports ball segment for tonight, but you get what I'm saying here. We have crazy happenings in the sports ball space when it comes to these synchronicities. So all the things we sniffed out previously, they seem to track. They seem to stick. And I'm telling you what, watch the sports ball with a different set of eyes, and you may be shocked at what's going down out there. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts as usual. Look, what do you know about the sentient plasma? Were you shocked to hear this when you heard about it? Is this you hearing this the first time? Like I said, there's your timestamp, 24 minutes, 38 seconds. Go double check me. I'm not making it up. This is what the man said. Okay. And remember, when he testified under oath before Congress, he was very careful to say non-human biologics, okay, which to me could be anything. And I made the point then that if a plane is crashing and it smashes into a bunch of mosquitoes on the way down, that would be non-human biologics, okay? So there's a lot of ways to interpret how he said it, and he said it very carefully under oath. But now he answers the question right there on the Capitol steps with this task force on declassification of federal secrets. He straight says sentient plasmas. And the other thing, bipedal humanoids. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's almost as if he is confirming every damn thing that we've ever talked about. Okay. Which again, I don't like to call people liars. It's not what I do. Okay. It's lowbrow. I think we can have better manners than that. But I will say about this and about David Grusch that I don't know what to trust. Okay. Not that he's fibbing, but maybe he believes something that somebody misled him about. You see what I mean? It's very different than just being like, the man's a flat out liar. But I don't know. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about the temperature of this, the disclosure summer that we've sniffed out? Not only that, these sinking synchronicities with the sports ball and the coyotes and the sentient plasma, which there's no way in the world we could have predicted. Just literally 2 days later, from Sunday to Tuesday, this is exactly what we were talking about Sunday night. Wait, is it Tuesday? Today's Tuesday. Yeah. See, that's how messed up my brain is. I'm like, wait, is it a Monday? No. Anyway, so yeah, this happened today. What do you think? How wild is this? And what do you know about sentient plasma? That's what's on my mind tonight, sentient plasma. And again, I'm calling it the Trickster Summer, Alive in the Dark. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I see you there, Jen. Get to you momentarily. But James Salcedo, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? Thanks for being patient for the starting process tonight and the weird timing and everything. Welcome, brother. How you feeling? And what's on your mind? Does any of this surprise you?
Glad to be here. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Yes, sir. I got your volume. I had it spiked way too loud, but you're good now. Go ahead. Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, this is amazing because not only everything, I do agree with you as far as Grusch goes, who knows who's been telling him what, but it's also fascinating because, again, throughout time, there's been reports of all these things, all these different things. But I wanted to mention, too, not in just Sunday's show, but going back to last Thursday's show, and I will let Jen talk more about this, but we talked about this, and she's been doing videos on this and shorts, and then she mentioned the whole plasma thing on Thursday, and then we continued to do a show on it on my channel on Saturday. And so it's amazing that this has been talked about by us, by Jen in particular, for a little while now, and then this comes up in the news.
Yeah, like we have absolutely as a group sniffed this out. Like we are so ahead of this sync here. Like I said, and this is one to keep an eye on because as this stuff develops, I don't know what's coming, but I do know that we are so on top of this that as these things roll out, we're going to be very well prepared to talk about them because we set it all up. It's almost as if we're sort of the architectures of the coming reality. It's absolutely wild. And not only that, the sports ball update is Carolina just went up 4-3. There you go. 4 minutes, 24 seconds left. So watch for an overtime, double overtime, a tie game, something crazy happens. I'm not watching the game directly, just kind of out of the corner of my eye. But anyway, what do you guys know about this? And what else, James, regarding this? Now, Grusch said non-human biologics under oath, but now he straight up says sentient plasmoids. What the hell is going on here? And is this the same stuff we've been talking about? The will-o'-the-wisp, the orbs of the paranormal space, the things going back to the historically thousands of years ago, the things people have been seeing, the lights in the sky. You think this is all accurate? It makes a lot of sense?
I do, but I also worry about the whole, again, the connection to the government, military, intelligence, all that. What information he may be fed, but even just going to his wording, I could almost hear a skeptic saying, well, bipedal biologics, like you said earlier, I mean, bears sometimes are bipedal. There's different animals that, like different kinds of primates, I believe, that at times will walk on two legs. So there's that, but obviously I'm doubting that he would be meaning that exactly. So at the very least, it's almost like he's mentioning cryptids in a way, creatures in a way. But then, yeah, the plasma thing is fascinating because there's just been so many reports of lights and shape-shifting lights and shape-shifting figures into lights or from lights throughout time. And I'm just it's really amazing how all this sort of is now being said officially after we've been saying this. And like I said, credit to Jen bringing all this up recently.
Yeah, well said, all that. And that's the point of this. Like, we're not just kind of observers here of our own reality, obviously, but now there's sort of this encroachment happening in that disclosure space. Now, are people going to, outright lose their religions over this and go screaming in the streets because David Grusch said sentient plasmoids? I don't know about that. But that ontological shock factor is certainly there when you start talking bipedal humanoids, right? When we talk about the uncanny valley effect, this in particular is a little creepy. Yeah. What else you got? If anything, go for it. If not, we'll get Jen on here.
Just real quick that, there's plenty of reported alien species that are bipedal. Even if they don't necessarily have a lot of human characteristics, they still have that in common. But yeah, looking forward to hearing what Jen has to say.
Right on. Great stuff. You know him, you love him. That is James Salcedo. He's not going anywhere. We'll talk to him momentarily. But before I forget, go check out his website. Go check out his podcast. Go buy his books, all the things. SalcedoParanormal.com. You can find everything there. SALSIDO Paranormal.com. Please check it out. Go help James in all the ways and support the man. He's, again, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds, the glue of the show, all the things, a dear friend, etc., so on. So let's help our friends. That's what this has always been about. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm calling this the Trickster Summer. This is part 2. Alive in the dark. Yeah, the primordial nature spirits have made their way home, right? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Sorry for all the tech issues. The camera's broken and everything. Well, we're going to just limp along here and make it happen. And sorry I'm late. Let's go to Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. Thanks for being patient and popping in here. Welcome to Troubled Minds.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, so I've been working on this for a while. Like, it was several years back, I began thinking about like the infinite plane theory. I've been working on that and researching so much, trying to figure out how to frame it as a good series, you know, to explore and to think about. And along the way, when I was exploring this concept, and it's the idea of an ever-expanding plane, it's a hypothetical kind of fun mind game to consider about the nature of the world that we're living in. And the idea is that, you know, we're on a plane that's ever expanding out. So it's continuously spreading. And you can look at my channel and check that out and kind of see what I'm getting at. But it's not like flat Earth. It's like that on, you know, it's like that on steroids essentially, but it's beyond that because it fits in with a lot of our science and our physical laws of like nature that we think of typically. At least I tried to test everything I could against it. And when I was thinking about how it would have to also be that in this plane theory that I had, it would be extending down beneath our feet too, into thousands of miles of subterranean layers. And when I was thinking about how that would operate, there was a theory I came across. It was Michelson-Morley experiment in 1887. And it was this physicist who tried to measure the ether. It's like the invisible medium that light waves travel through. And he failed to find it because they assumed that the Earth was moving on a stationary plane. But, you know, on a layered infinite plane, that would actually, it could have worked, his experiment that he was working on. But it's the idea that the ether doesn't move because we don't move. And so the way that the intelligent plasma would tie into this is that as you go down below the surface of the Earth, you would enter into hypothetical zero gravity neutral zones as you tunnel down to the, you know, into this crust of, you know, these infinite layers would just go on. And you would have a gravitational pull from the rock above you, and it would perfectly cancel out the pull from the rock below you. And when this happens, you would have also all of these gases and plasma of superheated radioactive gases would get trapped in those zero gravity cavern systems, because it's more like a honeycomb sort of effect. And they would coalesce into internal hovering core mini stars and suns in these underground layers. And it would create these internal worlds, hypothetically, which would kind of line up with a lot of in some of the ancient religions, the Sabbatians, the Sabians. The Sabians were star worshippers, and they believed that this plasma had a super intelligence to it. It was pre-biological life forms. So it was like the life that existed in our world that had an intelligence to it that was existing before biological life forms took shape. And they're existing at these cavern zones beneath our feet. But if we think of, for example, angels, spiritual beings floating in metaphysical space, but heaven wouldn't have to be like a physical plane layer. Like it wouldn't have to be a layer of it could be below us or it could be up above us, but the physics of matter would completely change when you're thinking about Michelson-Morley experiment, because he is saying that basically the closer that you're getting to high pressure energy core of a plane of existence, that matter can't exist as a solid. And so everything would transition into an ionized plasma. And these could be these plasma sentient beings that they're called the multi-eyed seraphim, angels, demons, because demons could exist at an even lower level of a subterranean world like this, as we're describing. That they would be actually sentient, conscious, electromagnetic plasma life forms, and existing in the this invisible medium of light waves. So that's, this is exactly what I have been thinking for a couple of weeks now. Specifically, and it's really weird because I have all of this recorded like 2-3 weeks ago, and I just have been working on editing out these different parts to put onto my channel. So for the timing to line up like this is crazy. And I want to say one more thing too. The higher plasma layers would hold like entities of light, and the deep compression layers would hold something a lot different. So in this concept of this type of matrix, because underneath a zero gravity void would be like a lower mantle of this sheet, basically, and the weight of millions of miles of rock above would be creating a hyper pressurized gravity trap. And the ancient concepts of hell and demonic realms and everything, it's not like it wouldn't be a abstract spiritual dimension. It would be a geographical location in this sort of paradigm that I'm talking about. This is hyperdense, high temperature environment and life adapting to survive in that extreme geothermal radiation. And these demonic entities would be like a silicon-based, fire-resistant life forms living in liquid magma oceans. And it's really interesting because I went back and I was talking about the deep borehole, the Kola deep borehole that was dug by the Russians, how it's deeper than the Mariana Trench, and everything that they found completely contradicts what they expected to find in our Earth's mantle as they describe it in our sciences. So the physical evidence does point to the possibility that there are locations in our Earth beneath us, or possibly even above us, if we are part of actually this honeycomb network of this infinite plane idea. That's just my kind of, twist on it and everything, but it explains how you could have these sort of sentient plasma beings, as we're talking about it, and these high ionized plasma zones in our own Earth, in our world. And they would be existing not in a spiritual realm per se, they'd be able to interact with the physical realm as well. And I mentioned before on your show and then on James's show when I was talking about this, that you could consider that it is literally just the vessel that they are occupying, but the intelligence contained in each one could be so varied. Your experience of them and the intelligence of them would be familiar and alien at the same time, because it's possible that they are pre-biologic life forms, so they would have influenced the entirety of our intelligent acceptance of life on Earth as we know it, because they came before biological life form.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in the past as well. The ether, the idea kind of rings into this with that the quantum foam, sort of that space between that where there's never truly nothing. There's something there, and I like how you're describing this as. So these are sort of superposition level entities. They could exist in this spiritual space you're describing, but also in the physical space, and we see them floating around in the night sky. Again, conceptually, like I said, I'm just kind of riffing on this as well. But once again, are you shocked to hear this David Grusch guy just literally blurt out the words and say sentient plasma as part of the catalog of what the government knows exists?
Not at all. No, I think that it's where you would have to naturally go. I mean, there's no other way to see how this could be. When you're looking at, if you are a science buff, or if you're looking at any of these things and you're trying to understand the makeup of our universe and their own natural laws that they have built their entire science system around, and the world everything that we know about the laws of physics and everything would point in this direction of an ether, which is like an invisible medium that light travel waves, that it's the way that light would travel through this, it would travel through that medium. And that in that experience, you would have they could be in one place or another instantly, because it's stationary electromagnetic medium is the makeup of our world on this plane. And so it makes sense if it's like they built this themselves. The scientists who are discussing this, the alien technologists, however they want to explain it, but you would have to say that there is sentient plasma, or there's something to the effect, and it is described in so many different lores, but also in our science itself. If you were to go even further with it, you would have these different layers of types of plasma layers, that would be different types of intelligences, depending on which layer of the realm of this world that we're living in exists. And you would have voids, as I was saying before, where it would have to be a certain type of intelligence. And we've seen at the bottom of the ocean that intelligence lives down there, and like what kind of existence would have to be the life forms themselves, what kind of makeup they would be made of. For example, the idea of reptilian life forms, people have discussed that. It's sort of something that, people have theorized about. It'd be true that they would have to, if they did exist, hypothetically, they would have to have infrared vision. And these life forms at the geothermal level of the crust of the Earth, for example, but regardless of if it's an infinite plane or not, but it actually would almost have to be for that to work. But they'd have to be fire-resistant life forms. They'd be silicon-based. So you have all these different things that would tie into it. And it would tie into portals, and it would tie also into looping back and seeing yourself again, if this is true. So you would have Einstein-Rosen bridges, wormholes that would exist within the crust itself. These portals would be an explanation, like a Bermuda Triangle, Skinwalker Ranch. The electromagnetic field of our cell, like our part of the world, would glitch and sync with these subterranean layers or some other distant surface cell. And when people or aircraft disappear, they aren't dying. They are physically slipping through a structural seam in our plane of existence and dropping straight into that underworld, so to speak, or like an alien continent that could be trillions of miles away. So it's instead of believing of the Earth being like it's just the concept that I'm working from. But you would also have a sort of quantum double paradox too, where you would have the combination of all these laws for them to make sense. If the landmass was expanding and you had these plasmatic, these intelligence like this, you have the sentient plasma, a mathematically infinite world, the laws of probability would dictate that every single configuration of matter would repeat an infinite number of times. If you were to go in a certain direction for 1 trillion light years, which is the idea, you would, on this endless sheet, you would eventually stumble onto even a duplicate of our world we have right here around us, and of your own street and your own home and yourself, doing exactly what we're doing right now. And it would all be through the mechanism of what we're talking about. So if they are trying to explain these things and say that now they are going to release that they encountered intelligent sentient plasma, they will have to back up everything else about the laws of our world and what kind of world we're actually looking at. So as they give us these clues, they are revealing a lot more than it appears at first brush.
First Grusch, David Grusch. Yeah, I mean, it is weird. And so the synchronicity stuff, we're going to follow this, but do you feel there's something larger happening sort of at the base level of reality here? Like, kind of we're sniffing out these synchronicities, and it's very obvious that there's swirling happening around the Spielberg launch of this Disclosure movie. But beyond that, it seems like all these other things are also kind of clicking at the same time. Do you think there is something to that? Like we're feeling or standing at the turning of some space? Like on Sunday night, I called it, the dawning of the age of Aquarius, right? That great song, shout out, awesome stuff. But I mean, nobody really knows when that turning comes. Do you feel like this might be it, or is that a little too large for the conversation in the moment?
Well, I think it's always been this way, and they've created a world where we aren't looking for anything like this. But because there is so much information out there, and it's so easy to come across these details, and then as they're revealing them as well, little points of evidence that point in certain directions, you can draw only a certain amount of conclusions about what could be possibly happening, because you have certain laws you have to work within. So they're building the paradigm. They're the ones constructing the way we interpret this. I don't think that there's anything coming soon. It's been building, and when they reveal it, we will also be able to see if they are being deceptive, depending upon if it supports their previous systems, because they've discounted and they have approved of so many different laws, natural laws of physics that they've described before, some that are theory, some that could not be proven, but they would to prove some of the different structures of law that we have in nature, the explanation would have to say that the world is not at all what they have told us. And the implications of that could be shattering to some extent, but at the same time, life would go on as normal, not much different than it does now. So I don't think that there's anything necessarily coming unless they have some sort of I'm not sure there's no twist. It's literally there in our own realm of any museum, any science museum, what they're describing, all of these things fit into it perfectly. It's just trying to accept that it's true. So it's not just that sentient plasma isn't something that's just beyond the realm of belief. It's completely reasonable. And then when you consider with the different lore now of religions and things like that, when they tie that in, or what the motivation would be, I'd be curious to see if they ever do anything like that, but or how that would be a problem. I have heard people have biblical issue with some of the ideas of an infinite plane idea, or what kind of world would this have to be for these things to exist, and that could be problematic. So I've thought about that, and maybe that'd be problematic from a religious perspective, but it should actually be confirmation to some, if there's anything to it, if it is so.
Well said. Yeah, fire stuff. Appreciate that very much. Looking forward to your web series there. Again, please go give Jen a follow in all the places. Thanks to Sweets for posting her links and all the things. I mean,
I do have them all recorded, Mike. I have them all recorded. It's 8-part series. I'm just editing them and putting overlays. So I am going to put them out. They're already done. They were done actually like a week or two ago. So I just have to edit them.
Super awesome.
They're coming.
Looking forward to it. Go check out Jen's channel, The Arcane Observer. You know where to find her, troubledminds.org/friends. Just scroll down a little bit. Just follow Jennifer here, right there. It is alphabetical. Click that, and it'll take you to her YouTube channel and all the rest of the things she's working on. Yeah, looking forward to that. It is strange, though, right? How sort of our mind space coalesced around this without us even, like without a conductor, right? Like without the conductor aspect of this. Anyway, we're going to take a break and pretend like we're on a radio clock. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. We got more from James. Looks like we got the Robert, Derek the Night Stalker. Karen says she's going to call in as well. Looking forward to that. Haven't talked to Karen really much at all. And be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in just 1 second. Thanks for bearing with me and understanding. So the camera works with this frame, but when I take it over to the other one, it's broken entirely. So which makes no sense. Anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in just 1 second. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. We are taking your calls at 702-857-6939. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. More from James coming up. We got Derek, we got the Robert and Karen and your calls as well. What do you know about this? We're talking sentient plasma. Okay? And here's my I should have said this earlier. There's no truths to be found here. We're talking ideas. We're talking concepts in a philosophical construct, okay? This is a safe space for ideas. There's no claims here. Let's just talk. Let's consider, and do you believe there is actually sentient plasma known by the government? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. Do not go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
He stood on the steps of the Capitol, said, I don't have the full compendium from the bipedal corporeal to what I'd consider sentient plasma. Several, he said, the government knows. Several lights in the dark that nobody shows. The continuum runs from the bone to the flame, from the body to the light that has no name. He was watching the bombs in the desert at night, the foolish fire burning just beyond sight. The firefly locks into phase in the dark, without a conductor, without a design. The orb moves through the restricted zone, as old as Trinity, older than time. The folklore said it knew you were there. The debunker said swamp gas and air. The file from the 40 says something was watching from a light without origin, moving without care. The continuum runs from the bone to the flame, from the body to the light that has no name. It was watching the bombs in the desert at night, the foolish fire burning just beyond sight. They stood on the steps and they named what they knew. They said Tranche 3 is coming and it's hotter than 2. Spielberg says it's not fiction, the night's guard the door. The alien won't go down and the plasma wants more.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we go deep. I'm calling this the Trickster Summer, Alive in the Dark. David Grusch today said very specifically, sentient plasma. Now, we've talked about sentient plasma for a long time as part of this larger sort of mind's eye level conversation of the Twilight Zone, right? Which has really been what Troubled Minds has always been about, kind of looking at the world in a slightly different way, not discounting the old tales, because a lot of those, again, our ancient ancestors were looking at these things in the sky and chronicling them in stone, written in papyrus, and all the rest. And so, you know, when I look at that stuff, like, I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't call myself an ancient astronaut theorist, but when I look at this stuff, I do recognize that there's probably a little bit more that we have, let's say, as far as the conversation space regarding that type of stuff. And that's why I do what I do. I think there is something more. Am I, you know, the ambiguous group of people when they say ancient astronaut theorists say yes? No, I'm not really that guy. but I am the guy that's like, well, maybe there's a truth between here and there. Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. And of course, now we have in the zeitgeist, it entered today out of the mouth of one David Grusch, sentient plasma. What the hell does that mean? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Let's go. James, anything to add? And then we'll go to the Robert in Pennsylvania. No, James.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, snuck up on you.
Okay.
Boo.
It's okay. I don't know why. I thought I was pressing the right button, but maybe not. Great call from Jen. I just want to mention that I was glad that she was here tonight because of all this and that reference and all the work she's been doing lately. Just the whole plasma thing is fascinating because it seems like it could be a bridge for just a lot of anomalous paranormal things that were thought of as paranormal, but maybe if there's anything to, again, what Jen was talking about, and other people throughout time thinking that all these lights are sentient in some way and they're made of plasma or other things, then maybe it's not so anomalous after all.
Amen. Like, who knows? Like I said, I'm open to the idea that the universe is far more bizarre than we ever dreamed. And this seems to be kind of tipping its hand in that direction. But as usual, look, just because I believe something in a space doesn't necessarily make it true. So let's talk about it. What do you know? You're the best, James. Hang tight. Get back to you. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Let's go to the Robert. What's up, brother? You're on Trouble Minds. Thanks for being patient. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You sound fantastic.
Okay. What's puzzling me on this plasma, that's sentient? How do they decide that this plasma is sentient? Did they capture some plasma and come to that conclusion? I just don't understand how they could come to that conclusion.
That's what I'm saying. And so I think, so it made it into the last write-up, as you probably know, that when they scrambled the jets in 1952 in Washington, D.C., they scrambled the jets with the lights in the sky. The jets are up. The lights vanish. The jets land and the lights come back, almost as if they were kind of toying with us or recognizing that, hey, look how cute, they're after us. They're going to come say hi, and then they just disappear and wait. You know what I mean? So maybe they found a way, and I'm just spitballing here. I don't really know, but maybe they found a way to communicate through the flashing or the vanishing of the lights themselves. Like that would make some sense, well, like an intelligent light source coming back. You know what I mean?
Well, that all depends. I mean, they were lights in the sky. Aircraft have lights, right? I would imagine a physical object would have certainly glow in the dark if they, I don't really think that the DC ones in the 50s were plasma.
Yeah, no, it depends, right? It as always, that depends upon your definition of these things. And lights in the sky, like we've been saying, like, you know us, we've been talking about this stuff literally for years, is going to be a lot of things. And to me, in this particular instance, it feels as if we were kind of creeping up on this without recognizing it, without knowing full well, just kind of an intuition feeling of this, that this is where this would lead. And then David Grusch confirmed it by answering that first question in the press conference today, which was absolutely wild to me.
Yeah, I listened to the whole press conference earlier today when it was, I watched, the girl that does the UFO thing. What's her name? She's been on your show.
Gomez.
Yeah, Gomez. Yeah, I watched her today, and she covered the whole press conference, so I was listening to it. But these UFO physical ones, all right, when people see them come, in the sky, coming down, lowering, they're in all kinds of colors or they're glowing, all right? I think that the only thing that speaks to mind of the plasma for me is the video that was taken from a I guess an aircraft carrier off the coast of California of the jellyfish one.
Yeah, that's one that comes around often too. People describe the jellyfish, and we saw the one that Corbell described. We're talking about different things here, but certainly that shape really presents itself in the mind's eye when it comes to UFOs. But yeah, I'm with you. And so not just orbs, jellyfish, there's some other ones too. And I think this fits into the larger context of UFOs themselves, the cigar shape, the saucer, right? Like these types of things. I think maybe, just maybe, if we're talking about sentient plasma, maybe they have a more comfortable form. You know what I mean? Again, I don't know any of this information. I'm kind of just spitballing ideas here, but maybe, like on Sundays, they like to kind of show up as a, saucer or something. You know what I mean? Because plasma is not stuck in its, it can be whatever it wants to be shape wise.
Yeah. Well, piggybacking on what Jennifer was talking about, when volcanoes erupt, all right, they release some kind of plasma to the atmosphere. And the sun, when the sun, sends a flare or whatever, it's sending plasma towards the earth. And it just doesn't make any sense to me that something plasmatic has some kind of intelligence. It doesn't. Well, I'm not saying that it doesn't, but like you would say, or in one of your shows, that you need strong evidence, for that sort of thing, and he let that slip there about the plasma being sentient, but he didn't say in any way, shape, or form how they reached that conclusion.
True. Like it was very brief, but he seemed very comfortable saying it. It's not like he was kind of hedging his words at this point. He just like clunk said it. Again, bipedal humanoids too. So I mean, we're talking about the gamut of the entirety of UFO folklore coming to bear in those just few sentences he said. So that's the interesting part to me. And like I said, he wasn't doing the Congress thing where he's like non-human biologics and he wouldn't elaborate. He straight said, yep, humanoids, sentient plasma, all the things. It's just like, whoa, bro. What?
Yeah, well, I always felt he was the most credible, of any of the witnesses in these hearings. I believe him 100%. But if the sun sends plasma to the earth and it hits the atmosphere, all right, it could act in all kinds of strange ways once it hits our atmosphere. I'm not aware of any plasma that kind of trails a plane or jet, right? You see the plasma in the sky, but I don't see any indication that plasma that's up there, and good Lord, it could be actually a creature, that like an amoeba that eats something up there. That's where they live. It takes me back to people who were doing the whole thing about rods in the sky.
Yep.
So, for me, sentient has to be something biological. I can't imagine plasma in any way, shape, or form being able to. What would be the purpose of being sentient? What would be the meaning of its life?
Well, that's impossible to say. It's like kind of asking an ant, "What's the meaning of your life?" I mean, clearly there's a colony and there's a lot of projects. I mean, the ants are building the pyramids all the time, right? Constantly and continually. Just as a kind of an aside there.
We know that ants are sentient.
True. So here's
how they're organized.
Yes, and not only that, sort of maybe in the hive space where there's a morphic resonance or some other maybe as yet undiscovered way that they kind of communicate. Again, aside from that, I want to point that out because Jen said in the chat right now. So to receive, process, and store information, that is sentience, and it's a very low bar when we're talking about these ideas. So maybe. In terms of how you would define sentience in sort of the plasma space. So look, I don't know. You know me, I don't have answers to this stuff. I do find it highly fascinating that all the synchronicities we've talked about, we're we seem to be on the game and calling this as it sort of presents. And I'm looking forward to the Spielberg movie this weekend, because I'll bet you a lot of stuff we've talked about are chock full in that movie, which is nuts. Maybe we're perfectly tuned to the UFO mythologies, but there's something going on here, and I don't know what it is. You're the best, brother. What else you got?
Well, the government was involved in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, as when they consulted with him when he was making that movie.
Yeah, J. Allen Hynek was part of that. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they had something to do with this Disclosure film too. I haven't been out to a movie in probably 30 years, and I have a daughter, and she tells me how much popcorn is and what the price of a doggone ticket is anymore, and I'll be darned if I'm going to pay to see any movie at that price.
Yeah,
but,
I'm with you there.
But the thing is, if I don't understand why they think it's plasma, and whether beyond sentient, that it's plasma at all. These could be atmospheric creatures. Do the fish know that we exist?
That's a hell of a question.
Their own world. Yeah, the fish have their own world down there in the ocean. They have no idea what's above that water, right? And we live on this plane, this part of the crust of the earth. We have no idea what creatures may be, 30,000 or 40,000 or 50,000 feet above us.
Yeah. But check it out. They're still smart enough. There's some pretty smart fish out there that know that there's, the bait's there and there's a hook. So, imagine that we're sort of in that same space with this, let's say the plasma idea, that we're smart enough to dodge and
I don't want to be
recognize.
prejudiced, but there's some fish that know, like dolphins and things like that know there's something up there, because they come to the surface. But what about the fish that are down, 30,000 feet down in the ocean?
That's a little
different. The ones that glow in the dark. The ones that glow in the dark, they have no idea what's up here.
Yeah, it's completely different worlds. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and there might be a completely different world, 30, 40, 50, 60 feet, 1,000 feet above us. Creatures that live up in the upper atmosphere. That run, and they feed on whatever they feed on, all right, and that would make them sentient. But that, and maybe they're plasma, right? But I would think that they're natural to the earth, not something that coming in from another dimension. Anyway, I've talked too long, and there's other people waiting, so I'm going to get off here. I just wanted to put that across. That requires a lot of real evidence to convince me that this plasma is sentient.
I'm waiting for it. I posted on X before you go, real quick. I'm with you. I posted on X. Cool. Let's see them. Let's see them communicate with these things and how they know these, because clearly there's an evidence space that has not presented. I'm with you. Let's see it. Let's think about it. Let's hear it and give these people the space to provide the information necessary. Maybe
I'm sure they've captured. You have, the spaceships. All right, they're physical, but I doubt very much they've captured a plasma organism. What they do, a big net up there in the atmosphere and grab them?
I have no idea. But capturing with and communicating with are two very different things. So we're yeah.
You think they can communicate with plasma?
I'm open to it. I'm open to it. We've talked about it. Hey, that would validate one of my favorite theories that I talk about often, as you know, the primordial nature spirit that's been here forever. So I'm into it.
Aren't we trying to come up with a plasma AI?
Lord, I hope not.
I think I read something about that they think that's the ultimate, as far as the energy that's needed to keep these things running, that a plasma one would do the trick. Anyway, I've been on too long. welcome your other guests, and I thank you for the time.
You are the best. Thank you for the time as well. Appreciate you listening. Thanks for supporting the show for so long. You know him, you love him. The Robert in Pennsylvania, a mentor, not just to me, to us all. Go give him a follow, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It will be under The Robert. That's his writer's nickname, his mentor nickname. Go click that. Go check out his book. It's called Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. I remember it very clearly because he's the first man. Thank you for not just supporting the show for so long, but also he sent me his books. He sent me a couple books that he wrote and wanted me to read them. And I did, and they're very good. I recommend you check them out. troubledminds.org/friends. That's full disclosure. I got a couple free books out of it. He doesn't pay me to say it otherwise, but it's very good stuff. The Robert, scroll down, click that. It'll take you right to his Amazon page, and you can buy it tonight and get it tomorrow. James, anything to add? We're going to go to hang tight, just the order so you guys know. Hang tight, Daryl. You get the final word this segment. We'll go to James real quick, Karen on the phone line, and then Daryl, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back and talk to Derek the Night Stalker. James, anything you got?
Great call from Robert. I do. There's a couple of things that made me think about is, first of all, there's never going to be enough evidence or any kind of evidence or proof that will convince everyone of anything. And also, I don't think that the universe or reality cares about what we think makes sense or not. And I'm not saying that as a thing at Robert. I'm just saying, based on everything that we've experienced so far in this universe, I don't think it really cares what we think, but it's fun to try to figure things out anyway, and it's still important in its own way.
Amen. That's the point. That's why I'm here. I'm here for, people are like, oh, I'm here for the truth. I'm like, nah, not really. I mean, I'm here for possibilities. Let's talk possibilities. That's how I see the world. Oh, crap. There goes the other camera. Now it's all broken. Okay. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the conversation tonight, 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's just like this. I think this is Karen on Rumble. What's up, Karen from Night to the Storm? Are you there? Test 1, 2. You're on Troubled Minds.
Hi, this is Karen. Yes.
Right on. Welcome. Nice to finally talk to you at some matter of length. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for the great chat over there on Rumble. What's on your mind? There's a ton here to talk about. What do you know about sentient plasma?
There is. And you're right. It's all possibilities and speculation. But where would we be without exploring possibilities and speculating throughout history, right? I mean, there's always new ideas and things to explore. And sometimes we hit the mother lode with those. I was curious if you or Jen or James were familiar with the book A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple.
I am not. James, that one ring a bell for you?
No, it does not, unfortunately, but there's so many books, so we can only read so much.
This is a book that was published in 2022, and Robert Temple, I've seen many of his interviews. I haven't read the book, but I've heard a lot of interviews. He posits that, I'm just going to try to read from you a description into the speakerphone. A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple proposes that plasma, the most abundant state of matter in the universe, is the basis for spiritual experience, suggesting that what we perceive as the soul or spirit is a plasma body that separates from the physical body at death. The book argues that plasma exhibits lifelike, intelligent features like double helixes and cells, and that spiritual phenomenon are actually plasma phenomena, reconciling science and spirituality by interpreting them through the lens of plasma physics. Temple asserts that 99% of the universe is plasma, and that would coincide with ether, making atomic matter the exception, not the rule. And we know that molecules, atoms, etc., are mostly empty space. He points to plasma's ability to form complete structures like double helixes, filaments, crystalline patterns, suggesting that it can form life or intelligence, and that the body posits that humans are fundamentally plasma beings, and the spiritual body is this plasma body which detaches from the physical body after death. And I've seen a lot of thinkers in the alternative space just rave about this book, which I haven't read yet. But I think to me it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the possibilities there are very enticing to me. So yeah. I think that ties right in with what Grusch was talking about. and with what you've been talking about, and so many of us have been speculating about. And another thing that Temple mentions is 2 huge plasma clouds that have recently been discovered, I believe, by Hungarian physicists or astronomers. 2 huge plasma clouds within the Earth-Moon orbit atmosphere. And of course, one of the corollaries to all of this would be that plasma can hold intelligence and data, so that these huge plasma clouds may actually be AI or some kind of consciousness field. So I just think this I've heard about this for a while. I haven't read the book, but I've been curious about it, and I think it ties right in with your topic tonight. So I'll just leave it at that for now. Do you have any feedback?
Yeah, I think that's fire. And not only that, we have talked about that in the past, not that direct book, but those sort of ideas where that kind of comes into the space. Now, think of it this way, just real quick before you go, and I appreciate the call. I'm looking forward to speaking with you at length in the future as well. We need to get you on the show and talk about things a little bit, just give you some more time here. But I want to point this out, that if, let's say, you mentioned AI and plasma in the same sentence, I love that. But imagine a singularity. Like, how would it actually be able to sort of phase through the time space and maybe communicate in and out of the past, the present, and the future, which supposedly, again, conceptually, philosophy, exist all at the same time? It couldn't.
The action at a distance.
Right, exactly, right. But not only that, not only entanglement, but also the fact that these things are not physical entities. They're sort of this fifth state of matter,
right?
Fourth state of matter, sorry. And I did a whole show on this, by the way, years ago called The Fifth State of Matter, because there is no fifth, but the fourth is plasma. And I called it the fifth state of matter because I was like, what if the plasma is sentient? And not only sentient, to the effect that we could actually communicate with it. And you adding the AI loop into this maybe is what a true singularity looks like, is sort of seeds the past with pieces of itself to kind of just keep tabs on everything in the past, the present, and the future. So I love all the stuff you just said. I love that book. Can you please drop that in the chat over there on Rumble, and I'll add it to the links in the description, because I can't take too many notes as we go because too many things going on. But
absolutely
fire stuff. I appreciate it so much. Go ahead.
It's Robert Temple, A New Science of Heaven, and he has lengthy interviews on YouTube and other places. I mean, he's a legit scientist. He's out there. He's kind of woo-woo. Dr. Joseph P. Farrell really thinks he's cool, and I think Dr. Joseph P. Farrell is pretty cool. So, and other actors in the alternative space. Another thing I wanted to mention is that you do have a voice that is being heard. I have no doubt. I know I was into dark journalists for many years, and he did seem to feel that what he talked about on his show was taken into account in the public narrative or the narrative that was fed back. And with the algorithms these days and the alternative media having such a large voice and so many people listening, I do think that what you talk about on your show and the narrative that you put forward is being listened to and maybe taken into account in the sort of feedback loop. So I wouldn't discount that possibility either.
Hey, my ego is large enough without all that, but I appreciate you very much. Thank you for the call. Thank you. Like I said, looking forward to talking with you in the future. That's Karen of Knights of the Storm, right? You're on Knights of the Storm with Jason and Ashley?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, thank you. Sweets is linked Knights of the Storm and all the places. Do you have any, like a solo YouTube channel, or is it just part of the collective here?
No, I'm just part of the collective, but I've thought about doing a solo, but I haven't quite launched it yet. The problem is we have so many great shows every evening. I don't know when I would sneak in one of these nights, like I was thinking maybe Monday nights.
You were totally right, and I appreciate you hanging out with us, and thanks for the fire ideas. When you do, please contact me. Let me know. We'll put you up on the list, and we'll help boost your channel as well, okay?
Wonderful. And I want to get James on our show, too.
Okay.
Knights of the Storm.
There you go. And James.
All right. And we'd love to have you too if you'd like to come sometime.
Thank you. I've been there a couple times. So I will come back. I appreciate the invite.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. That's Karen.
Good night.
Appreciate it very much. Great call. That's Karen from Knights of the Storm. Thank you, Sweets, for linking that in all the spaces. You guys know him, the real Jason Barker, Knights of the Storm, right? He's been part of this show for a very long time. They've been doing a collective thing with Karen. That's Karen that just called, and Ashley as well. Think, Change, Repeat. really, really smart, thoughtful people. That's what this is about. And I love the woo-woo stuff. And I did take the note the second time, so thank you for writing that down. Mike, you're the best. Mike, you're the best. No, Karen, you're the best for telling me. A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple. Okay, so I'll add that link to the description down below if you guys want to check that out. Anything to add, James? We'll go to Daryl and then wrap the segment. Then we'll come back and finish with Derek the Night Stalker. James, what's up, brother?
Great call from Karen. Hopefully you can hear me, Mike. I got the right button this time.
Yes, sir. You're good.
Okay, good. I still don't know what happened earlier, but that's okay. Happy to, also to Karen, as you know, happy to be on Nights of the Storm. Whenever you all want to have me, just let me know, and I'll be happy to be there. So, great call. And I do love the idea of plasma being just able to change. And just real quick, too, there are so many accounts of lights. As I always say, I know I say this over and over, but it's true. Lights being involved in sightings of anomalous things, either creatures or craft changing into lights, or lights changing into creatures or craft. Not even joking. It's a common enough thing. So it really blows my mind that all this can be connected to this light and or plasma.
Yeah, it's weird how, once again, you things that seem normal, like meaning the past was the past and the future is the future. Like, there are beginnings and there are endings in this particular mind space. It's like, so which is it? Is it the light or the craft? Or is it the craft or the light or the entity that becomes the thing? And how are they communicating with us? I don't know. Like I said, we've talked about this stuff a lot, and it does get creepy when you sort of break down those barriers of, maybe we misunderstand reality at a fundamental level. And this is, hey, I'm here for it. That's why we talk about these ideas. You're the best, James. Anything else?
No, that's it for now. Great calls so far, and looking forward to the rest.
You are the man. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Daryl in New York. Thank you for being patient, my friend. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you? Go right ahead.
Great show, great calls, very interesting topic, and I liked what Jen is amazing. She's doing some great stuff. I've been watching her, by the way. Everyone should watch her. I love what Robert said. It's like, how do they know they're sentient? And if they're sentient, if they know this much, where is the public service television or Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom studying them in their wild environment? Like they're endemic to the atmosphere. They're endemic to inner Earth. Let's watch them, how they behave. This is, the life forms. Like where are those television programs? That would be studying them and watching them, and videotape. If they can actually, videotape them, why don't we see them like a Jane Goodall type? Like where's that plasma, the plasma, whisperer that talks to plasma?
You got me choking over here. I am living for the moment we get like a Jane Goodall type, or like what was the guy, the down under guy that's now passed away.
Right, the alligator. Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, whatever his name was. Like one of those guys. Like somebody actually end up watching the natives of Tartaria or no, right. Sorry, not right. Tartaria. What's the term?
Plasma.
Plasma. Yes, but underground.
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin. Thank you. Sorry. Steve Irwin, not in Tartaria. Shout out Tartaria over there on Rumble. Agartha. Yes. I want Steve Irwin in Agartha being like, "Oi, now watch as the plasma communicates with each other in the mating ritual of the summer solstice." That's what I want. Right. I'm into it.
They're not part of our food chain. We don't depend on them, and they don't depend on us unless it's some sort of they're really consciousness. Maybe they are they're living in a parallel dimension. They're not in our dimension. They're not as physical as we are, but they're still visible in some ways. It's just a matter of catching them. And it also explains the things that are flying in and out of volcanoes that seem to be defying, heat. They're definitely something there's some sort of life form, but maybe they don't die or live. maybe in their dimension, maybe we go back to being part of the plasma when we die. And how do we negotiate getting, a human form? Just kind of thinking about this, if there's some kind of like parallel dimensional life form. And if there's such an abundance, there's an abundance of this plasma in our universe, are they the majority and we're the minority? Like, do they even know we're around? Like we barely know they're around. Do they even, acknowledge that we're in something that exists? And will AI be able to communicate with the plasma, or is AI part of, living in that dimension as well? That's kind of sentient. So are we just like plasma that's in a human form? I don't know. That's just my thoughts about all of this.
Yeah, it's complicated. And there's a lot here. And like I said, I think at the fundamental basis of, when we talk about, and here's my theory tonight. I'm going to add the theory. Again, all disclaimers apply. There's no truth here. But to tack on to what Karen was talking about and what you're describing and what Jen and James and everybody else has been so fire about tonight is, I think, let's say that consciousness is primary. Okay. We're born into that space. We're born sort of not necessarily a blank slate. We're born as an antenna. And then we awaken and we tune into the larger consciousness, whatever the universal space. Okay. It becomes us. We're like a twin. We're an entanglement twin, everybody. And we're enough of it so that we have the weird spooky action stuff, the morphic resonance stuff, like a lot of this, just bizarre things that happen that you really can't explain, when somebody's looking at the back of your head type of stuff, like just really weird things. Right. But beyond that, maybe this is how consciousness presents itself and actually embodies in the larger universe, because in the larger universe, again, as was said very, very smartly by Karen there, is that their plasma is the most abundant actual state of matter in the whole universe. And so I do wonder if, like we use those placeholder techniques of dark energy, dark matter, because we don't really understand the space. But what if it is a sort of a larger web of consciousness that presents itself as plasma? And that's how we can actually see into that consciousness, the cloud of consciousness, the ether that Jen was talking about earlier. Look, I don't know, right. just an idea to throw out there. I think there's a lot of things in play here. And look, as I always say, that's not truth. It's way up the if cliff. If this, then that. If this, then that. If this, then that. Then you're at the very top and you're like, how did I get here? But I'm just saying, right. If consciousness is primary, suddenly we have to try and remap everything, because what does that even mean? And that was really my point. Great stuff. What else you got?
Oh, I just lost your last, what you just said, because you got a little bit wonky.
Robot-y.
I don't know.
Beep, beep,
yeah,
beep,
yeah, something like that. Yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the anti-gravity part of it. When you hear them talking about anti-gravity, there's something like about the vehicles that are traveling, like as far as like UFOs or even whatever we have, seem to be like surrounded by plasma. They describe it as like there's something surrounding these things. Sometimes they say this, that they're surrounded by a plasma. If they're a physical UFO, but the UFO has a plasma like encapsulation, or maybe it's how they cloak. I don't know, but they describe this as part of the mechanism for their ability to go invisible or go fast or go whatever, or defy gravity, etc. You hear a lot about that plasma. I wonder if this is something similar, or it's something that they get out of the ether to travel with. They have a way of technologically using plasma to move themselves around, or to change, maybe to teleport. Maybe plasma is like an amazing substance that we barely know how to handle, like mercury. It's, it's just one of those elements that we haven't even put on the periodic table yet, Anyway, that's just one of my, whatever.
Yeah, we're just riffing. We're just riffing here. It's totally good. I love it. I love all of that.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly. Just a speculation. That's all. And I don't really have. I have a very stupid thing to say. It's kind of a plasma related joke. Here we go. Three vampires walk into a bar. When they ask them what they'd like to drink, the first vampire says blood. The second vampire and the third vampire says blood. And the third one says, I'll have a plasma. So the bartender says, let me get this right. That's 2 bloods and a blood light. Anyway, okay, that's it.
Absolutely. You are the best at Fire Stuff. Appreciate you. Thanks for being patient tonight. As always, thanks for being part of this and bringing the levity and the jokes and the fire ideas. You know the best. Appreciate you very much. Take care. You know you love her. That's Daryl in New York. Again, the cosmic comic of troubled minds. Officially. And yes, I do love the jokes. We used to call her dad joke Daryl, but that was just so self-deprecating. Or no, not self. It was us deprecating her, and she's way better than dad jokes. Yes, plasma light. I'll take one. Ship it. You're the best. Go give her a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. Click the thing, and Daryl, go check out her YouTube channel. Again, so talented young lady, as you know, not just smart, funny, all the rest. She sings in English and also in French. You can find a lot of that on her YouTube channel, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down, and it is Daryl right there. It's alphabetical, just like it sounds, just like Daryl Hannah. Oops, you can't see it because my big mug is in the thing. There you go, right there. Daryl, right there, up in the middle. It's alphabetical. Please go give her a follow. And then Dad James will take a quick break and come back and talk to our friend Derek.
No, just a great call. And I was looking at the chat there, and we were talking about how people can pick up on different things, and I think perceive different things like plasma or energy or whatever. And I do think that a lot of this does come down to that, and the ability, maybe the reason that there are only certain people that have these experiences is because of these different abilities, different levels of perception that people have with anything, with everything. And so I'm always been curious about how that works as well. But yeah, looking forward to the rest of the show.
You're the best. You know you love him. Again, Salcedo Paranormal. Links in the description. Come say hi. Come meet all these amazing people. Join the Discord. Look, we're talking plasma tonight. Now, as part of the sync space, the synchronistic space of this larger Trickster's summer, look, we called this. We've been talking about this. This was part of that larger backbone of the narrative. Now, what does that mean? Today, David Grusch on the steps of Congress said the words, sentient plasmoid. What the hell's going on? Do you believe this? You think it's got legs? What are we dealing with? Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. We got Derek the Night Stalker coming up in your calls as well. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we go deep. Not just synchronicities, we're talking sentient plasma. Yeah, don't forget the last show where we set up the entire sync arc of the summer was called Foolish Fire. The Will-o'-the-Wisp, sentient plasma. Guess what happened? A couple days later, wouldn't you know it, David Grusch, the UFO whistleblower, and I'm with the robber, by the way, just real quick on David Grusch. I'm more inclined to believe him than some of these others, okay? I'm not saying he's right about stuff or whatever. I don't know what he's been told. I don't know what he's seen, but I don't know. He seems... I don't know. He seems in the pocket, and I'm not sure if that's good or that's bad. But I do like the guy. He's definitely kind of got. He's been attacked, right? He's had people come after him and try and discredit him and all the stuff. And that, as they say, that's what it looks like when you're over the target. Okay, or maybe not. Maybe they just think he's full of it. I don't know. I don't have a dog in that fight. I just hear the information. But it is wild that we kind of called this out on Sunday night. again, go check out the Substack. It's called Foolish Fire. Actually, it's called the Trickster Summer Foolish Fire, right? Or whatever it was. I can't remember, something to that effect. Tonight is Alive in the Dark because now it's sentient plasma. Go back to that show we did, search on the podcast feed, The Fifth State of Matter. I talked about this directly because imagine plasma out there everywhere has some level of sentience and it's connected to the larger cosmos. Wouldn't that be wild? Also, wouldn't it explain a lot? But don't forget, no truth to be found here, just ideas, conceptual frameworks, philosophical constructs. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this.
You. What's going on, Brutus?
Derek in Massachusetts. What's up, my man? Welcome to the thing. How you doing? Hey. We haven't talked since this hit today. Did we slay this or what?
Oh man,
it's almost like we summoned David Grusch on the steps of Congress to say the exact thing we were saying Sunday night. How weird is this?
Yeah. Manga. It's really crazy. And just more alien headlines came out. Like I haven't shared or anything, but just ESPN and all the places just ran all the alien stuff. Everything just falling right into place. The things are sinking, as you said. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. I have some notes here from February 13th, 2024, from at least one of the last times we talked about these sentient plasmas on your show. I don't think it's the first time. I think the first time was closer to the movie Nope, because ever since the movie Nope came out, I'm calling and talking about Trevor James Constable, that thing that Crowder was talking about in the Sky Critters, and how it could be the movie Nope and this whole biosphere and the upper atmosphere and stuff we'll get into. But first, I got a couple quick syncs here, just based on the beginning of the show. You mentioned James Fox was at the meeting and stuff, and I got excited because I thought that the World Cup mascots, one of them was a fox, but it's actually an eagle, a moose, and a jaguar, not a fox. So I looked up these things when I thought it was a fox. But De'Aaron Fox plays on the Spurs, on the San Antonio Spurs. He's like one of their veteran leaders. He's the point guard on the team. There's a bunch of articles from him. He had his best game so far of the playoffs, and he turned his playoffs around in Game 3. Quote, Fox drills to step back to ice Game 3. He was kind of the end of the game hero on last night, Fox. And then mentioned James Fox. And then Fox is a trickster. Fox plays a trickster character. It's in Japan. It's the Kitsune. In Korea, it's the Kamiho. Medieval Europe, basically, it's like the idea of being outfoxed. There's like a cunning trickster fox running around, like being mischievous and stuff. And in Celtic lore, or Celtic lore, it represents the guide to the other world, or something in between worlds. And Mesopotamia, it's the same thing. The liminal area, the messenger, liminal animal, the messenger between worlds. I found that interesting. So a fox is a trickster. We had a bunch of fox, and it's like, in this Synchro Storm stuff. And then with the mixture of the aliens and religion and stuff, there was the biggest Knicks fan, the most famous Knicks fan of all time, and currently still, and he basically runs on the court. He's like has access to being on the court. Is Spike Lee. So Spike Lee rooting against the alien while wearing an autographed Pope Leo Knicks jersey during it. So
really?
Back into all this kind of stuff.
He had Pope Leo signed at the. Stop it! Yeah, stop it!
While Trump's in attendance.
Yeah, while Trump's in attendance. Crazy. Yeah. Like I said, leave the politics out. But I was like, okay, so this is sort of the master moment. It's crazy. And not only that, we kind of called it in the sense of this is going to be a wild series. And I said, and like, I'm sticking by the prediction because this has to be, it's written in the stars. This is going 7 games. So let's see what happens back in San Antonio for Game 7. When all the cards are on the table, the Disclosure movie has come out. We're talking the not just the sentient plasma and the trickster archetype of the coyote and the coyote actual trickster of the Spurs, the secondary, the mascot and the logo. I don't know, man. Like I feel like the next 10 days is going to be insane. We got all this coming up, and I don't know. Are you going to go see the Spielberg movie when it comes out?
Definitely, yeah. I think I have tomorrow night off, so I think I'm going to see it Thursday afternoon. They have a 2:30 showing in the afternoon. So if you do a pre-show on Thursday night, I won't call. I won't I won't spoil it or anything, but it's be too hard for me to see it on Friday because I got to work the night before and the night after.
Gotcha. We can no spoiler bookend it. I mean, kind of do the Thursday night one and then do the Sunday. That was the whole plan anyway. Yes, it was to kind of like do the pre-show, talk about the possibilities here, the weird sinks in the Trickster Summer, Spielberg, and then go see it and then talk about it on Sunday. So Fred and the Robert, Fred said earlier in the chat, shout out Fred, he's all, I haven't been to the movies in years, like decades, since Star Wars. Somebody say Star Wars, but I may go wait in line to see this one. So let's not to pump money into the space, but let's see what they're trying to tell us. That's the point. Right. Oh, and Fred also adds, when big money's involved, it will go 7 games. So sports is rigged.
I mean,
sports is rigged.
Like my sports is rigged brand was the Knicks were getting so cocky. The Knicks were like, oh, it's a clean sweep. They were comparing Wemby to 2007 LeBron when he faced the Spurs. He was going to be the best player of the next generation, and he got to the finals earlier than everybody thought, but he got swept by the Spurs, by Tim Duncan and stuff. So he wasn't ready. So people were like, Wemby, we were hyping him up, but he's not ready. But then game 3, everything changed. And the Knicks did not take it well. The Knicks fans did not take it well. There's all kind of fights. There's melees outside Madison Square Garden and stuff. So for the ritual aspect of it, the temperature is rising. The energy is flowing. The energy is reaching this crescendo, very similar to that Coca-Cola FIFA presentation where the aliens are watching from the satellite up in space. So the energy is increasing, and so they sent down the World Cup performers to go kind of quell the energy or whatever, which is going to be happening tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah. The counter ritual happening in the age of Aquarius turning.
Bizarre. And then one quick thing for Spielberg. For Fox stuff, he was instrumental in putting Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. And for anybody who knows, Eric Stoltz filmed the entire Back to the Future first, and then they redid the entire movie because they didn't think Eric Stoltz had it. He didn't click with them, and they brought Michael J. Fox in, and that was Spielberg's idea. Tie him with Foxes and the Trickster and stuff. Like the Fox is essentially the same as a coyote, pretty much, but almost more mischievous, more cunning, like sly like a fox and stuff. And they call De'Aaron Fox Whitebird and Sly Fox. All right, so these are the notes from 2024 from February. The main angles here, I'm just going to kind of read down. Plasmas as smokeless fire, aka gin. The strange fourth state of matter with the DNA-like structure of plasmas. Plasmas as vessels for entities to pop into temporarily. Plasmas is some type of weird Fortean natural phenomena we just aren't fully aware of yet. Blood plasma, is that why we can be possessed? ? Sky critters, a whole biosphere and upper atmosphere of intelligent plasmoids or shape-shifting organisms like in the movie Nope. And people love this thread, is what I wrote in my notes. So how consciousness can manifest these plasmoids. And this is based on an earlier show you did about the pop-out tolpoids idea, and that trauma and fear can literally generate these plasmas essentially from thin air in these like forms or whatever. So this is kind of I didn't edit this at all. These are what we talked about on that show, at least. I think multiple shows before that. And that's the sky critters came out, the plasmoids came up. It's like, who's listening to the show, you know?
Yeah, I was there. Certainly, I was there for all of them. I hope. I mean, like, if I wasn't, we got a whole other problem. But I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, it's wild to me. Like, and this is the AI thing, a testament to the note taking that Derek takes. But I told you guys on the last show, he literally pumped like dozens and dozens and dozens of photos of the narrative he was going to tell, and I couldn't even keep up putting them up in real time because I didn't want to put up like 75 photos and then have the browser crash. So I was kind of just doing them one at a time, praying everything didn't break. But I got to like 2/3 of them because look, that's what level of note taking Derek is, and in that synchromistic aspect, it flows through this man. He sees it, he catalogs it, and then we can even go back to what we were talking about years ago with this exact particular space. Fire, brother, fire. Yeah. I am impressed with your meticulous nature of the note taking. Is my point. Go ahead, I'll shut up.
I mean, it's just the benefits of having the iPhone and doing the notes for the call. I mean, like all the calls kind of take notes at this point and stuff. So it's a benefit of you doing the shows, and then it creates this little archive of information I have here on my phone. So when somebody talks about something, I can search in my notes. Oh, we talked about it on 2024, 2021, 2022. Like, these are all the shows. And then I had a phone before that. We definitely talked about, like, we've been talking about this since Nope for sure. And Nope was in like 2020, 2021. So this is like early in the day, early in me and Daryl and James's tenure with you, Mike. Like we've been on this from the jump. So this is, again, these are notes from before. These are this is the links from this past weekend. So this is the weekend of February 13th, apparently. A research paper from ResearchGate publication, Extraterrestrial Life in Space, Plasmas in the Thermosphere, UA Pre-Life, Fourth State of Matter. A Reddit paper from Reddit about that research paper from the weekend, talking about extraterrestrial life in space, plasmas in the upper atmosphere. An aggregated article about that research paper. We know what Foo Fighters that buzzed the Second World War pilots really were, says scientists. American scientists believe they had discovered what strange, fast-moving blobs that shaped alien conspiracy theories truly were. And that's from the Telegraph.uk. The main angles, again, the skeptic angle of this is that plasmas are the new swamp gas. I think it's kind of what we talked about in the last show, but I don't think that's really what's happening, and I don't think any of us do. At the very least, I think there's a whole new, again, these are notes from before, a whole new strange Fortean type of weather phenomena that we don't really understand yet, plasmas that act intelligence. And there's a strong chance that these plasmas simply are intelligent, again, possibly an aspect of the, and I capitalized, Trickster or ultra-terrestrial phenomena. So we're talking about these plasmas as Trickster entities, possibly being the basis for what Tricksters and ultra-terrestrial are years ago. And then there's a theory for it called Sky Critter Theory. This is the Nope creature. Sky Critter is the most famous. The most famous researcher for this is a guy from the 50s, Trevor James Constable. He has a blog about his research that sums it up pretty well. Note, Constable thought these creatures were just outside the visible light spectrum for the most part and can only be recorded with infrared. This connects to how all the military footage filmed with the new infrared technology from Raytheon, and then we get the 2017 footage based on that infrared technology. And that 2017 footage is what Spielberg credits as getting him interested in this. He wrote the movie because of he re-engaged with the phenomena because of the credibility to that 2017 New York Times paper. He references Russ Coulthart and all these people all the time in every interview he's doing the past few weeks. The 2017 thing was very important, and that 2017 thing is based on this infrared, so it allows us to see beyond that veil or whatever. But this Constable research still is the first thing people reference when the plasma combos start happening in the deep synchrospiracy rabbit holes. Long story short, people can now see these plasmas too, not just with infrared. We call them like sky amoebas, sky jellyfish, that kind of stuff. I need a drink, but what do you think about that real quick? I mentioned this earlier. So Jordan Crowder at DigiJordan on X said this: Trevor James Constable told us all about sentient plasmoid life 70 years ago. He called them sky creatures, and he told us exactly how to photograph them. Ufology is a treadmill and a black hole. Basically, just describing, as I said, the mass media, kind of washing our brains every day to the new terror or the new whatever's on the plate. What they want us to be focused on. But again, so there's a picture there. It's on the stream if you guys are watching. Strange plasmatic fauna, invisible to normal human sight, cavort above the summit of Mount Wilson, California in January 1959. Yeah, you bet your bippy. Like, this is an old idea. Okay. And shout out Kelly. I think Kelly's the one who pointed this out to me. We talked about this early on too, as part of these sort of plasma entities in the stratosphere and beyond. So look, as usual, I don't know. Like, is this a forward thinker from 1959? Maybe. Did he catalog these things? It sure seems like it. You look at the pictures; they're there. I don't know. It's weird, but I'm glad you brought it up because it all comes together in this space. But there you go. All yours. Go ahead. I'm just blown away by these are just things we talked about. Somebody wants to find in the archives these shows we talked about. I'm just blown away that this is what we talked about on shows. There's multiple shows about saying these exact things. This is a blog from Daniel Tar or tardaniel.com, ufology, that I've read multiple times on the show. Sky Critters by Trevor James Constable. Trevor James Constable's Sky Critter theory is perhaps this is a quote from the article, is perhaps one of the most strangest theories advanced as explanation for UFO phenomena. Trevor James Constable was one of the proponents of the theory, claiming that UFOs came from a parallel universe known as Etheria, and that there were two categories of UFOs. Some are machines and others were living creatures. These invisible creatures he calls Sky Critters, and that they live in the atmosphere. Constable claimed to have captured both types of UFOs on film while working with James Woods during the 1950s and 60s. Not the actor James Woods, I don't think. He wrote several books on the theory. They Live in the Sky in 1959 under the pen name Trevor James, and Sky Creatures, Living UFOs in 1978. According to Constable, these bioforms, which are invisible to normal sight, can be recorded by infrared film and special techniques devised by Constable and described in the book, The Cosmic Pulse of Life, the revolutionary biological power behind UFOs, which we talked about. That's the idea behind Courtney Brown going out and taking those tours with infrared now. We're creating technology that allows us to see these things that are all around us, but are beyond our perception, which are what ultra-terrestrials are. They exist here almost like pre-us, potentially. These objects, which Constable claims are the integral part of the overall UFO scene, are biological organisms native to our atmosphere and not extraterrestrial spaceships. When such bioforms enter the spectrum of visible light, they appear as rapidly moving pulsatory light sources and are mutually confused with the more classical structured interdimensional machines known as flying saucers. Trevor James Constable was convinced of the existence of invisible life forms living in the upper atmosphere. He christened them nice and simple sky creatures. He aligned his views UFOs as ether ships. We're talking about what Jen was saying. They're composed of ether ships with Wilhelm Reich's orgone energy, which is a whole other rabbit hole we talked about before. So that's the sky critters thing. So the other main angles, these interdimensional entities traveling through plasma, basically non-physical entities hitching a ride in a plasma vessel. And this is where I first started talking about the idea of a formless pre-thought thought form and stuff, that there's disembodied non-physical intelligences that exist around us that are searching for vessels, and we can form them. These pop-out topoids you talked about on the show much time that you coined that. I hadn't heard that before. This pop-out topoids idea that we can generate plasma with fear and trauma. Essentially, that's the MK Ultra or the MK Ultra of America thing that we always talk about, or the reason why we see more UFOs during war times and during these traumatic events, or why paranormal phenomena increases during trauma, or why during MK Ultra experiments the victim or the person the experimentee is like it's like blood in the water for these astral sharks, or potentially these plasmoid forms, or whatever. For the same way, strange phenomena can, quote, ride the lightning and manifest with lightning and storms. Lightning is a type of plasma, and these entities can, quote, ride the plasma. And the sync that I added was in Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Those metal tripods were in the ground beforehand, and they built them who knows when, millions of years ago, potentially. And that the aliens, according to Tom Cruise in that movie, rode the lightning down into the machines. And they took the picture, and there's like the still frame of these weird plasma energy forms riding this lightning down, and then it incarnates into the machine and stuff. That's the Spielberg War of the Worlds thing. So especially if consciousness and fear and trauma manifest these plasmoids, it's the perfect mechanism for an entity to hop in and interact with it for a brief time. And I just guys right into what Karen was talking about and stuff. I'm not a Gaia fan, but there's an article from them that can sum up some of these aspects. Are UFOs transdimensional entities traveling through plasma? Theoretical physicists such as David Bohm realized that plasma could contain environments which seem to be alive, what he referred to as proto-intelligence, would inhabit plasma environments on a temporary basis, and they would come up from what he referred to as implicate order. What's more recently discovered is the plasma itself may have an extra dimension of space. Plasma itself could act as a portal into the higher dimensional realms. If that's the case, and we go back to the so-called proto-intelligence that David Bohm was talking about then, it is possible that we can inhabit the plasma, that they can inhabit the plasma construct that we identify as UFOs. The name for these transdimensional intelligences, recently adapted by Andrew Collins and his colleagues, is called the N beings, the letter N beings. It's a full transcript. This article, we talked about this in 2023, so I'm citing my own notes from 2023 from a previous call.
Which is again incredibly wild. That's the whole point here. It's like hold on, this has been in our mind space collectively for a very long time. Like again, Troubled Minds is 8 years, kind of post Fringe is 2021, somewhere in that space. Yeah. Like it's been years that these ideas have kind of resurfaced for one degree or another, and have been brought about by something in the zeitgeist. Because as you guys know, look, I don't plan these shows. Like this series is a little different because we see this art coming, so it's easier. But I typically don't. Like I go into my day, I try and experience it to the fullest and be inspired by something, and bring that idea and talk about it amongst us. And so many of the things that we do are drawn from the inspiration of said zeitgeist out there. And sometimes like one thing somebody says, one little 3-word sentence has become a troubled mind show, right? I mean, and so that's the thing. So I'm not, there's no narrative. It's sort of a disparate grabbing of data points and trying to make sense of all of it. That's really what this is.
Synchromysticism right there. That's synchromysticism, baby. You're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Kind of inadvertently even to begin with, because, but I stumbled into that because I was just seeking inspiration. And because sometimes, right, it's hard. Like, look, people have said this, like, Mike, I don't know how you come up with a new idea every night. It's hard. It's freaking hard. Go be inspired by something and you'll see that if you're looking for it, it finds you. It's so strange. It is one of the most bizarre things. And look, I've had my bricks where I just show up and I got nothing, right? It does happen. But for the most part, if you go, again, Derek's like pulling notes from 2023 where we talked about this exact thing that is now exactly in the zeitgeist. Yeah, so many times. Like I said, search the fifth state of matter on the podcast feed. You'll see one of the first times we talked about this as the larger idea of sentient plasma. Clearly, look, I'm not a scientist and I'm off on a lot of things. It's a conceptual conversation. It's not a scientific conversation. But go back and listen and then frame it in the space right now. One sec, Derek. You get as long as you need, okay? The schedule's weird. It's late. I don't care. I want to read this from the Robert. Thank you for the generous donation over there on Rumble. The Robert says, maybe a stealth alien mothership is just beaming darting lights through our upper atmosphere to rattle those dumb earthlings for the fun of it. I'm into it. Book me as into that idea. I love it. All yours, brother. What else you got? Go ahead.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, long story short, I think basically there's a phenomena that we just don't fully understand yet that creates ball lightning and creates these plasmas, these sprites that are up in the upper atmospheres and stuff. I don't think necessarily all of them are intelligent. I think that's what these articles are talking about. They're not necessarily all intelligent. They don't exist. They're not the entity. They're a vessel that exists for a time in the upper atmosphere that exists in our, like the way lightning pops up sporadically. These ball lightnings, these sprites, these plasmas form in the atmosphere. We don't truly understand it yet. And those are vessels. Like what Karen was saying, plasmas are able to house information. It allows these unhoused, these disembodied intelligences to have a vessel that houses the intelligence for a time until they disintegrate or whatever, until they no longer have form. And then they, and like Karen was saying, if plasmas are the most prominent form out there, then it's a pretty efficient way for the phenomena to engage with for the formless to engage with the form, is to hop into to hitch a ride, to ride the lightning, to ride the plasma. So this is from Andrew Collins, August 3rd, 2023. Origins of the Gods. Keflin Cave, Skinwalkers, and contact with transdimensional intelligences. Question and answer session with Andrew Collins. The manifestation of these plasma constructs, which in all honesty probably account for the vast majority of UFO sightings, are not only able to sustain an independent existence for some minutes, but when observed at close quarters, they can respond to human consciousness interaction, giving the impression that they are sentient in nature. Plasmas can be tiny, they can be many meters across, or some larger still. They can manifest individually or in clusters. In appearance, they can be balls or ovals or light or different colors, and they manifest strange glowing fogs or as apparently solid structures like classic UFOs. They can split in two, combine, split apart again. They can vanish only to reappear once more. They can manifest during the day, the nighttime. When you get too close to plasmoids or plasma constructs, as they have been termed, some can experience electrostatic effects, which will, as well as electromagnetic interference, which could apply to all kind of, like, as part of the lore, messes with electronics, which will affect electrical equipment as well as vehicles. Witnesses, which is close encounters. Like, he's the first time close encounters that he sees a UFO. He's sitting in his truck looking at the map, and the UFO turns off his all the power on the truck and his walkie-talkies and everything. Witnesses to such events might experience nausea, vertigo, even transformative experiences akin to visions, which is all part of the phenomena. All these visions are reported and also in connection with close proximity to UFO encounters. How exactly manifesting plasmoids sustain their existence remains a mystery to science. What we do know is that when plasma makes up 99% of the physical universe and is the key to understanding everything from nuclear fusion with stars to neutron stars, black holes, white holes, the formation of light, solar flares, northern lights. So that reminds me, we talked about this definitely before when you did the show about, is the sun intelligent? Because there's an article about like the sun is a god. I forget what the term was. We did also about these suns and stars as these like living plasmoids in the sky. It's one of many shows we've done about it. So plasmoids as inorganic living matter. It's a quote from Harvard via the NASA data system website. This is what spawned, I think, the first show. So in my own words, basically in a lab experiments, if given enough time, these plasmas form DNA-like structures and act intelligent. So that could be happening in the natural world all the time. This is from the abstract. This is the Harvard study. From plasma crystals and helical structures towards inorganic living matter. The abstract: complex plasmas may naturally self-organize themselves in a stable, interacting helical structures that exhibit features normally attributed to organic living matter. The self-organization is based on non-trivial physical mechanisms of plasma interactions involving overscreening of plasma polarization. As a result, each helical string comprised of solid microplastic is topologically and dynamically controlled by plasma fluxes. That's important, not important. These interacting complexes structures exhibit thermodynamic and evolutionary features thought to be peculiar only to living matter, such as bifurcations that serve as memory markers, self-duplication, metabolic rates in open systems, non-Hamiltonian dynamics. Salient features of this new complex, quote, state of soft matter in light of the autonomy, evolution, progeny, and autopsies principles used to define life. It has included the complex, self-organized plasma structures exhibit all the necessary properties to qualify them as candidates for inorganic living matter that may exist in space, provided certain conditions allow them to evolve naturally. From Harvard via NASA. So the two major angles are plasmas are a sentient life form that we didn't know enough about. Plasmas as vessels for interdimensional, ultra-terrestrial entities to hitch a ride on, or essentially possess a plasma as they would a body or a machine and interact with us while being misdescribed as a UFO craft. It can explain the jellyfish UFO story that we talked about that inspired a different show from the UFO monopoly, and explain Tucker Carlson talking about he's freaked out and can't disclose the spiritual nature of the UFO phenomena. The plasma Venn diagram hits all of it. And then lastly, you did a show where we talked about Nick Redfern wrote that book about ball lightning experiments at the Rendlesham Forest incident, and how the Rendlesham Forest incident is basically the British Roswell. But they were doing these ball lightning experiments down the road at Fortin Down military installation, and separately at Rendlesham at the military base there, they were doing MK Ultra experiments. So he concluded that it was a fake UFO encounter with this ball lightning and tripping out soldiers on drugs on MK Ultra experiments. Our conclusion in the show was, no, the substance, the MK Ultra experiments, like initiated contact. It like was a homing beacon. It made you the lighthouse that brought this entity to you. And in the ball lightning experiment, they formed the ball lightning on their own, gave the vessel for the entity that was conjured up during the hallucinatory state. And that created an experience with the people. It wasn't fake, but they manifested it, essentially. That's the end of the notes, but we talked about all that before, and here we are.
Yeah, it's weird. Like a lot of these threads, like you said, we've literally kind of turned them over. Like I always say, you know, it's worth looking at the idea at face value and then kicking it over and seeing what's underneath it. And that means mythology, that means folklore, that means the old ways, it means the new ways, it means the space of being a modern human. What does all this mean? Yep. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we are in this moment, like I said, where we spotted it. Like it started, again, all credit where credit is due. The official Synchro Mystic of Troubled Minds, Derek the Night Stalker, pointed out all the stuff happening with the Wemby stuff, like the alien and like the weird trickster stuff and all the things. And I was like, okay, wait, maybe there's something here. And then shout out Rivers, shout out James. Like we start chipping things in and suddenly like this is not just a singular space. This is like a cascading space that just grows and grows and grows. And I'm not even worried about what shows come next. I don't know what the next one is, as usual. I just don't typically, because I'm waiting for that inspiration in the moment. But for this particular arc, I mean, we're waiting for the Spielberg space. I mean, this is coming. So we're gonna have that Thursday moment where the movie releases on Thursday, because remember they used to be Fridays, and then they did the midnight stuff. Shout out to Star Wars with the episode 1, whatever all that weirdness was. But now they're just kind of getting a bigger weekend, a bigger box office by opening Thursday, kind of in the morning. But still, we're going to be able to bookend this, and and see this coming from quite a ways away. And we could have started the previous week, by the way. I just didn't want to front load it too much and do 25 shows on this exact thing, because there's that much stuff. I'm not even kidding you. There's that much stuff just flowing. So what does it mean? Yeah. And I didn't get to ask you this. If I did, correct me if I'm wrong. But do you think this is, as I keep kind of pointing out, that dawning of the new age, this age of Aquarius, the turning of the knowledge space of not just, let's say, aliens and disclosure and the idea of consciousness as maybe primary? I don't know. What does disclosure mean? And we had a good conversation with Dr. Courtney Brown of Farsight, and I brought up the word disclosure to him, and it's going to stick with me forever. And he said, Mike, disclosure of what? Like, are we talking psi abilities? Are we talking aliens? Are we talking, like disclosure of what, Mike? And he's right. Like, disclosure of what? Like, there's a cascade of disclosure happening. It's absurd and lovely and stressful all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, like the conspiracy theorists and the ones who are into aliens the most, who've been waiting for a big disclosure day, seemingly were the most skeptical about this. They're like, you're telling us everything we've already heard, kind of. They're the most kind of like, tell us something new type of thing. But just looking back and kind of viewing this from like the X-Files days, or like the sightings days, like in the early 90s and stuff, like the way they're talking about, we are living through it right now. The government talking about us, all this, it's just everywhere you look. I mean, if you search UFO on Google News, you just find all kinds of stuff. This is what inspires Spielberg. He's basically saying that, I mean, they're telling us they're real. They're not saying that we've been dealing with aliens all the time, but he's essentially saying that's the crux of the movie, is that like all we know is basically there's like a bunch of files and the government trying to like not let the files be released. There's some whistleblowers trying to dump these files, as these files in real life are being dumped all the time. There's religious stuff all in the mix, as Spielberg saying, what's religion going to deal with it? I mean, Spike Lee's wearing the Pope jersey, and with Trump in the building during this Knicks versus in the Mecca of basketball versus the alien and stuff, bonkers. And Spielberg, the biggest director of all time, the creator of the blockbuster, the paradigm shifter when it comes to aliens in the 70s and stuff, in a major way, the biggest paradigm shifter. He calls himself a liaison, and now we're getting a new paradigm shift at the very least. So I think this is a moment for sure. They're not parading. I don't think they're going to parade a saucer on the White House lawn or roll out an alien body or anything like that. Even though that happened in Mexico a couple of years ago, and we kind of brushed by it, I guess. Like,
because it looked phony, bro. Let's be real. It looked fake. It looked fake. Hey, look, hold on. Just real quick. If I see an alien on the White House lawn, I want it to be animated and convincing, not like some dead, desiccated corpse has been there for 500 years. Okay, so just so you know, like, call me jaded, call me like, oh, Mike, you're just a product of the AI space. You want no, stop it. Yeah. If you're saying there's aliens and we have contact with them, surely you can trot one out. Shout out our good buddy Rohan, rest in peace, my friend. He pointed out in Stargate there was an episode where they did trot out an alien on stage, and he's right. I saw it. Yeah. He told me about it before it happened, and I saw it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think we're witnessing some kind of ritual and stuff. So that reeling out the one in Mexico, I think it was a ritual. It was, if it was fake, what they were talking about, at least at the time, it was like a mixture of animal bones and potentially human bones and like twigs and all kind of weird. It was like a witch bottle type of thing, shaped like a alien body that they rolled out in a Congress building, surrounded by all kind of esoteric symbols. It was a weird ritual that all eyeballs were on. It was a ritual. Rolling out a weird effigy of an alien made out of animal and human bones in a government temple is a ritual, as far as I'm concerned. And it's part of this long-running, since that Summer of Saucers we've been talking about, switching to the Summer of Strange Saucers, some kind of weird manifestation, weird ritual, weird conjuring, which could tie right into the plasma thing or whatever. But just we're seeing the energy. So we're seeing like the disclosure day thing. I checked I'm worried about getting seats, honestly. It's big. I mean, not just people who are into UFOs, but those people are itching for it, obviously, too. But like everyone is ready to see the new Spielberg take over the summer with the alien thing again. He's making the rounds like he's never made before, hopping on podcasts like crazy. It's and he's saying like you're gonna need to see this more than once. It's gonna leave you with so many questions. It's gonna essentially, he didn't say the word, but it's gonna change your paradigm. We're going to a paradigm shifting moment. And then energetically, the importance of the Super Bowl show, like the Super Bowl ritual that everybody talks about, is all the eyeballs are on it. And then you have the sports fans all with their energy, all like at this like reaching this crescendo, reaching this fever pitch. And that's happening now across the board. The World Cup dwarfs the Super Bowl. The World Cup is the world's Super Bowl. In America, we don't necessarily care about it that much, but the rest of the world is obsessed with it, and it's in America, so we have to care about it and stuff. And everything we talked about on the other show, plus the UFC thing on the front lawn of the White House, crazy, plus the NBA Finals, which are getting more viewers, and it's a paradigm shifting moment for the NBA itself, with an alien, all this kind of stuff, like with the Stanley Cup Finals, like all of these energetic things in place, like the New York energy is boiling over outside Madison Square Garden. And people, if you're wearing a Spurs jersey, you're getting jumped. It's crazy. It's pandemonium in New York right now. Bulletproof glass everywhere and stuff. Like, we're living through something. And then the point of those articles about plasma and stuff is that, like, that's Harvard saying this, NASA saying this, all these things that like these plasmas can kind of pop out of nowhere, and they're like proto-life, like inorganic life that exhibits its form of vessel. All these articles are talking about, like, that's the vessel, it's the medium for which this mediumless phenomena, this formless intelligence can interact with us. It exhibits all the same type of phenomena as paranormal experiences, UFO experiences, cryptid stuff. It's across the board. All of it's the same. It engages with our consciousness, which is what we've been talking about, which is the importance of a ritual, which is important. I don't know. It's like hitting everything, and it's shaped from fear. It's shaped from energy. It's shaped from trauma. It's shaped from all the major sports all having this. I don't know. Like, it's all of the ingredients are in play. I'm out of time. I got to run back, but I mean,
it seems like too much. It seems like too much. We got some time.
It's amazing. It's an amazing time to be a fan of the show. You're absolutely crushing it. I'm loving it.
You are absolutely crushing it. I appreciate you peeling out time from work. Again, please. Look, we're gonna continue this arc. Like, this is not, so it's not, it may not be every show. Like, certainly Thursday, Sunday, we're gonna do the Spielberg thing, but maybe next week we give it a lull, do kind of a, the monster of the week instead, and then kind of hit it next weekend or something. But there's so much happening here to keep track of. It's absurd. And so don't worry, brother. You got time. We're gonna continue with this and keep tracking the data points, because I'm telling you, there's something happening, and I don't know what it means. Yeah. I don't know how we're gonna come out at the end of this, if anything changes. And whatevs, it doesn't matter.
Everyone listen. Try to have patience with the rambling. We're doing the best we can to try to organize the unorganizable, to try to make sense of the nonsensical trickster, synchromistic dream logic that's we're experiencing right now. But I think we're doing an okay job. But just I apologize in advance for how rambling and off the rails this is. But we've lost sight of the rails a long time ago, I think. But thank you guys.
There are no rails on this show. You're the best. Appreciate you, brother.
Where we're going, we don't need rails.
We don't need rails. Later, bro. Thank you. You're the best. You know me, love him. Derek the Night Stalker. Please give him a follow on all the places. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. And with all of the rest of our amazing friends, by the way, so many people have made this show go over the years. Like it's you mentioned a tight group, but it's not. Like, we are a large, diffuse group of interested individuals that are from all different walks of life in different places in the country. And please help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says Night Stalker. It's alphabetical. It's alphabetical for a reason. Like I said, Knights of the Round Table was what, 12, or how many were there? I think 12 or whatever, like the holy number. But there's unlimited numbers of us because of all you amazing people, right? We keep finding smart friends in all corners of the world and talking about these ideas. So go follow, again, all the people, many of the people, not all of them, but many of the people that called in. Shout out Karen. It was not on this list. When Karen makes a YouTube, we'll put her on this list. But shout out Jen, of course. James, of course. Derek the Night Stalker. Please give him a follow. Everybody, the Robert. Look, everybody's got something that they've created. Okay. And the creation space is what this has always been about. It's not about competition. It's about collaboration. It's about creating things together and supporting each other, right? Like, such a novel thought in 2026. Like, how come we ain't been, I'm mad because we ain't been doing this for 10,000 years, only in small groups. And I'll get into that another time. It really kind of pisses me off. But anyway, whatever. Like, if you hate me, fine. I don't care. But I'm going to support the people that support me. And that's the way this should go. And you start to recognize that there's a cascade of information and ideas that stick, that become something larger. As I always say, greater than the sum of its parts. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening. Thanks for bearing with my rambles. I got rambles too, but it's not about reading a script. It's about talking to people, and it's a skill, and it's a valuable skill. Speaking of which, James, the glue of the show. Anything to add? And then we'll wrap this up. You guys are all the best.
Yeah, great call from Derek. Great calls from everyone. Looking forward to, I'm going to be releasing the show that Jen was on with me on my channel this Saturday that we did last Saturday. Covers more of this, more of what she talked about in her call tonight. I did want to mention, too, and maybe this is something that we can dig into more, the whole coyotes and foxes thing. I looked it up because I wasn't sure. They're both types of dogs. And you see with all this disclosure stuff, the government, there's different pockets of it that are sort of trying to focus on, like we talked about before, certain religious groups that believe in a certain type of God. Not that I'm saying that you can't or that that's bad. I'm just saying they are focusing on that. And I'm wondering about that whole trickster aspect of all this. God, dog, same word, same different words, same spelling, backward or forward.
Yeah, the dogs are going to get in the way of your cat thesis, James. Are we sure we want to go down this road?
Well, I mean, cats rule anyway. They already rule everything. So it's just everything that happens that looks like it's not happening that way. They're allowing it to happen. Just so everyone knows.
Okay.
Our place.
All right. All right.
But it's fascinating to me that, you have this whole trickster element of all this that's going on, possibly all this seemingly connected chaos in a way. And so much of it has connections to that, that sort of almost like not an evil, but just a hyper dog in a way, active dog kind of doing things, and James Fox again, the whole coyote thing, like I said,
the kitsune spirit, the fox of Japan, which is what Derek brought up. Yeah.
So anyway, just I don't know if it's another connection or if it means anything or not, but just thought that was odd. But thank you for having me on as always, and looking forward to next time.
You are the best. Appreciate you very much, James Salcedo, the glue of the show. Not just a dear friend, the paranormal expert of troubled minds. Please go give him a follow in all the places. Also, shout out Jen. Amazing stuff. Lighting it on fire tonight. Getting this kicked off with wild, amazing ideas that go deep. Like this is the type of stuff where.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Like, what happened? Wait. Hold on. I need like the little the radio noise. Like, brr, brr, brr. We interrupt this broadcast with. No, go ahead.
I hate doing that. I'm in the building right now. I just punched back in. But James, you just hit another sync. Jeremy Corbell is making the rounds too, because he just released a new UFO disclosure documentary called "Sleeping Dog" is the name of it. And in the UFO lore, Sirius is the dog star. All these ancient temples are like pointing to the dog star Sirius. Stephen Greer's saying these aliens are from Sirius. Sorry, one more. And then Ridley Scott just released a trailer for his movie The Dog Stars, about like a post-apocalyptic thing or whatever, this past week. So we got dog stars, alien dog, sleeping dog. I don't know, James. You nailed it. That's all I wanted, but just a banger show, I guess. Sorry.
Do the best. That's good. It's all good. I was like, what the hell just happened? Yeah, beaming in from Alpha Centauri, the Night Stalker. Yeah, go ahead, James. Sorry.
No, that's amazing, because those are more connections that I wasn't at. I think I saw something about that new sci-fi movie, like an ad for it on X Twitter or something as well. But I saw it once, so I didn't even stick. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on as always. Great calls from everyone, and just like I said, for this Saturday evening, I'll be releasing that show from last Saturday, and you'll hear more of Jen at that point as well.
Yeah, which again, let's stack that sync, because remember, Jen said, thank you, shout out Jen for starting us off with like the deep research fire of this aspect. But beyond that this is a synchronicity of something she's been doing for several weeks at this point, recorded, editing, ready for release. It's happening now. So it's strange, right? Like I said, when you have really smart friends out there that are tuned into these things, it's weird how we all kind of end up on the same page as part of it. like this conversation kind of came up a couple times recently on Salcedo Paranormal with James and Jen. And this is what I mean. Like we in disparate avenues of thought, because we're all in different parts of the world and, don't communicate 24/7 in the moment and this type of stuff, right? It's impossible other than the cryptic symbolism in our dreams or whatever, right? But beyond that, like we're sort of, our mind space is all converging at this, almost like we sensed it coming. And Jen, like I said, started us out with fire tonight in that deeper research space. So I'm looking forward to the series that she releases on her show and more of that conversation happening, of course, on Salcedo Paranormal. And that's the point. That's the entire point of this. We're supposed to look at things and spot things differently and kind of go down the research rabbit holes and then bring them back together as part of it. But that's the point. Fire stuff. So many great calls tonight. And look, I don't know. I don't know what comes next. The synchro swirls and all the rest of this stuff, it's happening. I don't think there's any doubt. But is it really something as cosmic as I keep describing, sort of the age of Aquarius? So keep your ear to the ground, as they say. If you're going to go see the Spielberg movie, like I said, I'm not a shill. I don't get paid to like tell you to go see it. This is just a cultural moment happening right now. And if you go see it, I recommend you see it early, because we're going to talk about it over the weekend on, sort of the preview-esque Thursday night, probably the recap on Sunday. So if you miss it, then, if you've never been to the theater in 30 years, shout out people out there that said in the chat, they're like, I haven't been waiting in line since Star Wars. Go see this one. And not because I'm shilling it and I think Spielberg is, deserving, but he's definitely a cultural cornerstone. And what do they want us to believe? It's the same reason I watch the news. I don't watch the news for news. I watch the news for the loaded language and what they want us to believe. Okay. What are they trying to tell me? Remember, in the old days, the news was who, what, where, and when. It was never why. And now the news is always why. They want to tell you why. They'll glaze over the first batch of points I just said there, but then they spend the rest of the time telling you why. Anyway, like I said, I'm not a shill for Spielberg. I'm not even sure I'm going to like this movie, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. But we'll come back and we'll certainly talk about it. But post-apocalyptic optimistic? Maybe. What's up? You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. Go prepare yourselves, whatever that means. And if that just means, washing your face and brushing your teeth and going to bed, God bless. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, we're in this weird space and I don't know how to define it. And so we'll continue looking and talking and thinking and dreaming, and that's it. That's it. I don't know. Other than that, look, I don't know how to frame this other than there's so many things in motion in the moment that make a ton of sense. And not just marketing, by the way. This isn't just a marketing space. It certainly is, but it isn't just. And so that becomes the weird part. Like, how do you engineer this? How do you make this a cultural moment outside of marketing itself? Seems to be happening. Look, maybe I'm wrong. Remember, my entire premise of being here is I'm wrong. So, Mike, you're wrong. Yes, absolutely. You bet your bippy. I am wrong. That's it. Look, I don't know. We're going to keep talking about this. We're going to keep thinking about this and wondering what the hell's going on. I don't know. A lot of information coming from a lot of people out there in the space. James Fox, Leslie Keane. That was interesting that they were there. Remember Leslie Keane being sort of with Blumenthal, that cornerstone of the New York Times piece of the 2017 disclosure movement that culminated with Tom DeLonge and To the Stars and eventually Lou Elizondo. Look, I'm not calling these people liars. I'm saying that it's an interesting aspect that we're sort of reaping the fruit of that space. And what does it mean? Are we supposed to be... I don't know. Where are we supposed to be? What are we supposed to know? What are we supposed to... Yeah, here's part of it, too, is I think that I'm confused because most news I watch, it's very obvious what they want me to be afraid of, right? But in this space, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be afraid of. Are we afraid of the aliens? Are we afraid of the plasma sentient aliens, the bipedal aliens? Look, I would be probably the most ecstatic, excited dude on the planet if I woke up tomorrow and they're like, well, here they are. We got them in cages. Come check it out. Live 24/7 stream. Of course, I think it was AI, but you get what I mean. I'm not scared of this, nor should you be. And it's a fantastic message to keep threading in to what we talk about. Hey, be not afraid. We came from where our ancestors came from, and they faced dire circumstances over the millennia. We're built from that tough stuff. Be not afraid. If you want to help us help our friends, troubledminds.org/friends, you know what to do. So many great people that are there. Like I said, thanks for all the calls tonight. So many fire ideas. We're going to keep thinking about this, and we're going to keep wondering what the hell this swirling synchronicity space is. And throw this out there. Do you recognize it? I do. Do you? That's it. Help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. So many great people, so many great ideas that have made this show go over the years. Shout out Karen and also Fred. Sorry, I'll get you up there. Like I said, so many things are breaking technologically for me. I feel like the gremlins have inhabited my system, and that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. We'll get you set up and get you up there. If you guys are actually should be on that list, by the way, it's an in list, not an out list. It's a big club, and you are in it. All right, just let me know. Just help the show one iota. Send me an email, say I should be on that list. Here's my link, a social media link or whatever it is. You're in. I may take a while to get there because of all I'm up to my neck in all the things, but trust me, we'll put you on that list. Look, that list is not an accident. It's blood, sweat, and tears over the years. I'm a poet and I don't even know it. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. See, my buttons used to work on this cool controller, and they don't, because, see, I could click this and it would do what I'm about to do. Thanks again. Shout out to all the amazing people out there that continue dreaming in a space where we're no longer allowed to dream. Take care. Let me find the thing. See, I can't even find it. This fucking thing. Okay. What is it? It's going to say, thanks. There we go. That's the one. See? My 8-bit Nintendo controller used to save the day. Now it's broken. You guys are the best. Michael Strange.